Ladies and gentlemen, the following segment of the podcast is presented exclusively by Hillsdale College, now in its 175th year. Hillsdale is a truly independent institution where learning is prized and intellectual enthusiasm is valued. Thank you for listening, and my sincere appreciation to Hillsdale for their sponsorship.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hey, my name is Doc Washburn. I do the afternoon show at KARN, Mark's affiliate in Little Rock, Arkansas. And it's a real honor to fill in for the great one, especially on such an historic day. If you hadn't heard me fill in for Mark before, I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. I used to do a late-night talk radio on Mark's affiliate there, WBT, but now loving life in Little Rock. Now, to the matter at hand. No matter what Nancy Pelosi says, President Trump is acquitted of 2 unconstitutional articles of impeachment forever. And no matter what Pelosi, Schiff, Nadler, Schumer, or any of the Democrats in Congress say, there were 18 witnesses called by the Democrats in the House. The Republicans were not allowed to call any witnesses. And the Democrats also produced thousands of pages of documents in the House impeachment process. So when they try to tell you the Republican senators refused to allow witnesses or documents, they're lying to you. They had all the witnesses and documents they wanted in the House. They refused to try to subpoena any of the witnesses now. They said they wanted in the Senate because they realized something. They realized that the witnesses would be pushing back, going to court saying, hey, wait a minute, I don't think this subpoena is legit. I don't think it's legal because the Constitution says the House has the power to impeach, not the Speaker of the House has the power to impeach. And they had initially put a lot of the subpoenas out there before the House had a vote. You know, just Nancy Pelosi saying, well, we're going to start an impeachment inquiry process. So anyway, that all having been said, before I forget, the number to call in if you want to talk this evening, because a lot of people are feeling very emotional about what the Democrats in Congress have put this president through, about what the Democrats in Congress have put our Constitution through, about what the Democrats in Congress have put our country through. Lo, these 3 years. Because they admitted the attempt to impeach started years ago. Has nothing to do with the Ukraine phone call. Mitt Romney, call your office. Anyway, if you want to get into the conversation, the number to call is 877-381-3811. All right, now, speaking of Mitt Romney, his behavior today was outrageous, and I'm going to refute point for point everything he said today. But first, Mark Levin, the great one himself, went on Facebook today to talk about Mitt and his outrageous behavior. And let me just put that front and center for you and tell you exactly what Mark said before we go to playing the audio from Mitt's little speech today. Mark Levin on Facebook said this, and I quote, "Romney votes against Constitution with his vote today to remove a sitting president. The media and Democrats are quick to celebrate their only Republican vote. Some outlets seem to have known in advance." Imagine that. Endless softball interviews will follow. Romney believes history will judge him as a courageous lone voice. It won't. He'll be seen for what he is, a petty, self-promoting never-Trumper who has contributed to the radical Democrats' assault on the Constitution. While he'll receive nonstop praise from the usual members of the unfree press, his vote is unprincipled despite his references to his faith. Shameful. There will be plenty of time to further elaborate in the days and weeks ahead. unquote. Now, that's what Mark Levin said on Facebook. So Mark will be back Monday. Yeah, I'm just so honored to be here tonight. But since Romney did what he did today, I've got to talk about it too. And what we're going to do is play, I've got to divide it up in audio cuts, Mitt Romney's address to the United States Senate today, trying to justify voting against the president on one of the articles of impeachment. Now, again, the president is acquitted forever. The vote was 52 to 48 against convicting him on abuse of power, and 53 to 47 against convicting him on obstruction of Congress. Even Romney couldn't vote to convict him on that one. So anyway, let's just roll right into it. If we have the cuts ready, Mitt Romney, let's go. Cut number 42, go.
The Constitution is at the foundation of our republic's success, and we each strive not to lose sight of our promise to defend it. The Constitution established the vehicle of impeachment that has occupied both houses of our Congress these many days. We have labored to faithfully execute our responsibilities to it. We have arrived at different judgments, but I hope we respect each other's good faith.
I'm sorry, Mitt. I can't do that. I don't think you're doing this in good faith. I think you're doing this because you are personally offended at some of the things that the president said to you and about you. That's it. And as we listen to the rest of Mitt Romney's diatribe today, I think that will become clear. I think it will become clear that he is merely trying to just retail Democrat talking points. All right, let's go with cut 43. Go.
The allegations made in the articles of impeachment are very serious. As a senator juror, I swore an oath before God to exercise impartial justice. I am profoundly religious. My faith is at the heart of who I am.
Okay, and then he got choked up. Then he had to pause for a while because he was getting choked up. Hey, Mitt, I'm sorry, pal. But I'm not buying it, and I'm going to tell you why. Unlike most normal people listening to the radio, I eat and breathe and sleep and drink this stuff 24/7, and I've been doing that for years. And I'm old enough to remember when Mitt Romney was running for president a few years back, and he was in Iowa being interviewed by a talk show host up there, a guy named Jan Mickelson, who was just asking him about his change from being pro-choice to pro-life, which, you know, a lot of us were there at one point. I've been pro-life all my life, but I certainly know people who were pro-choice and then became pro-life. Well, the president's one of them, and he's explained it. But the talk show host who was having the interview with Mitt Romney said, here's what I don't understand. You're a devout Mormon, and the creed of your church, the statement of faith, or whatever you want to call it, says that abortion's just not an option. To be a Mormon is to be pro-life. So how could you have been, pro-choice at one point? Because you've always been a Mormon. And Romney got really upset with him, really hot under the collar, and was defending the idea of being a member of his church and being pro-choice or pro-life either way. And, on the outside looking in, I'm just sitting there going, what you're saying doesn't make any sense to me. And, I got to tell you something. At some point in our lives, we're all sinners. We all fall short of the grace of God. At some point in our lives, we've all rationalized, I want to do this, I want to do that, et cetera, et cetera. We've all done things we regret. But I think Mitt Romney did something today that he will come to regret. And I just think it's a mistake to try to wrap his decision today, to try to wrap his religion around his decision today. I mean, no knock against Mormons or anything, but I got a knock against Mitt Romney. All right, let's go with audio cut number 44. Go.
I take an oath before God as enormously consequential. I knew from the outset that being tasked with judging the president, the leader of my own party, would be the most difficult decision I have ever faced. I was not wrong. The House managers presented evidence supporting their case, and the White House counsel disputed that case. In addition, the president's team presented 3 defenses. First, that there could be no impeachment without a statutory crime. Second, that the Biden's conduct justified the president's actions. And third, that the judgment of the president's actions should be left to the voters.
Well, now, they presented a lot more than that, and Mitt Romney was sitting there the whole time. What they presented was also that the 2 articles of impeachment are unconstitutional. There's no such thing. There's no such thing in the Constitution as obstruction of Congress or abuse of power. You got to have treason, bribery, or high crimes and misdemeanors. And when you go back and look at the language of our founders, high crimes are like felonies. So the president's attorneys didn't just present their case, they eviscerated the Democrat House manager's case. And I don't believe you can sit there in good conscience and say that they didn't. All right, cut number 45, Mitt Romney, go.
Let me first address those 3 defenses. The historic meaning of the words high crimes and misdemeanors, the writings of the founders, and my own reasoned judgment convinced me that a president can indeed commit acts against the public trust that are so egregious that while they are not statutory crimes, they would demand removal from office. To maintain that the lack of a codified and comprehensive list of all the outrageous acts that a president might conceivably commit renders Congress powerless to remove such a president defies reason. But still, there's no high crime, there's no misdemeanor, there's no treason, there's no bribery. I got to tell you something. Mitt, if the arguments of Patrick Philbin and Alan Dershowitz and Jay Sekulow and Mr. Hirschman and Pam Bondi and all the rest were not enough to get through to you, there was no treason, there was no bribery, no high crimes or misdemeanors, I can't help you, man. I think you're impervious to external stimuli, if I may use that term in present company. All right, more of Mitt Romney and my eviscerating his contentions today coming up as the Mark Levin Show continues. Doc Washburn filling in from Little Rock. Again, you want to get on the conversation, 877-381-3811. More Mitt and Doc coming up.
Mark Levin.
You've heard me talk about the 4 pillars of education at Hillsdale College. Now, these 4 pillars or purposes, learning, character, faith, and freedom, have defined Hillsdale's mission since 1844. I'd like to focus on the first pillar, learning. Hillsdale understands, as America's founders did, that a proper education is essential to preserving free government. Among other things, young people must be taught about America's great heritage of liberty. They must be taught about how government works and the importance of the Constitution. And they must develop the skills to become useful citizens and the virtues required for self-government. Because so many high schools, colleges, and universities fall short in these areas today, Hillsdale has expanded its mission nationwide. For example, through its free online courses, its free monthly speech digest and Primus, and the classical K through 12 charter schools it's helping to found coast to coast. Discover how you and your children can learn from Hillsdale College, too. Go to levinforhillsdale.com.
Hey, Doc Washburn from Little Rock, Arkansas. Mark's affiliate, Little Rock, KARN, filling in for the great one. on an historic evening, the evening in which the president has been acquitted forever, no matter